dear colleagues, friends, members of the media, experts, all those who are here in person and those who are viewing us online. I am happy to join the series of briefs where, on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Kuleba, I will inform you of what the Ukrainian diplomats here and elsewhere are doing currently. In the past weeks, well, months, we've been working in an enhanced mode, so to speak. All the algorithms of crisis communication, gathering information from different sources has been put in place, and I will share some of the data we are receiving on many occasions. The Minister of Foreign Affairs has emphasized that Ukrainian diplomacy should work non-stop, 24/7. The way that Minister of Foreign Affairs or presidents talk to each other, the meetings, the formats of communication we enable are aimed at political consolidation at the maximum practicable international presence in Ukraine, which all are a factor that may stop the Russian aggression. I will start, however, with a high-profile developments of yesterday, starting from President Putin's speech and decisions of the Russian Duma recognizing the independence of the so-called LDR and DNR. Ukraine has condemned the decisions that are all in violation of the UN Charter, Helsinki Final Act, the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders. The UN Secretary General called these acts gross violation of the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, which is a very rare occasion, all the more so that the Russian Federation is a permanent member of the Security Council of the United Nations. And I would also like to emphasize that the decision of the Russian Federation will have no legal consequences. The areas of Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts are part of Ukraine, though temporarily occupied by the Russian Federation. At the same time, we are aware that these decisions will complicate the diplomatic channels. They also increase the risk of further escalation and factually imply a unilateral withdrawal of Russia from Minsk agreements or Normandy 4. These decisions ruin the effective international formats that Ukraine and a number of strategic partners have been working on. As our president emphasized, the entire responsibility for the consequences is on the Russian Federation. We are quite clear that the tactical tools chosen by the Russian Federation and their intents are to provoke, to disinform, to disseminate certain narratives of choice on sowing the seeds of panic and fear. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we concentrate on the tasks that we are vested with by our leadership. We do not succumb to provocations. We don't take the bait. Both yesterday and today, we have been implementing a number of formats. The UN Security Council, on our request, called an extraordinary meeting to discuss the illegal nature of the steps taken by Russia, Gabon, Ghana, Kenya, Germany, and many others. Members were united in condemning these decisions, and members of the Security Council called upon Russia to take immediate steps to de-escalate the situation. Under Article 6 of the security guarantees, the so-called Budapest Memorandum, we sent official requests to launch high-level consultations between Ukraine and members of the Budapest Memorandum, including permanent members of the UN Security Council in Ukraine, as we see it as a way to de-escalate the situation and reduce the tensions in all possible formats, multi and bilateral. We have emphasized that. A couple of hours ago, at 1600 hours Kiev time, at Vienna, a meeting of a special enhanced format of the OEC Permanent Council attended by the high-level representatives of the capitals, Ukraine being represented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, at which the Polish presidency stated that such a violation of international law should not go unresponded. We also insist that the OSCE mission should continue its operation to reduce disinformation and de-escalation. The Russian Federation is trying to show, using its propaganda, that that Ukraine makes provocations. OSCE also, the Normandy 4 extraordinary summit is initiated, at which we expect that our partners will act responsibly and effectively. A summit of the permanent members plus Germany and Turkey. The agenda is clear: security, the 23rd of February within the UN General Assembly, within the framework of Article 67 of the rules of the Assembly. The situation in the temporarily occupied territories is going to be discussed. MFA collaborators to attend these and take part in the discussion focusing on Crimea and other temporarily occupied territories in Donetsk and Luhansk regions. EU ambassadors met today, during which members of COREPER have agreed sanctions to be imposed on those responsible for the recognition of these so-called republics and certain companies. The EU sanctions are to be coordinated with the sanctions imposed by U.S. yesterday. Today at 1700 hours, almost as we are here, the extraordinary meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the EU member states convened by Josep Borrell is taking place to discuss sanctions that may be imposed on the Russian Federation against the backdrop of yesterday development. The package looks at taking to account the physical persons involved in those decisions, on imposing banks that finance the Russian military and other businesses operating in the temporarily occupied territories, on limiting access to financial institutions of the European Union, and limited access of goods originating in the so-called oil law to the European Union, while not not all the steps are in sync with our expectations, but we understand that the sanctions should be imposed step by step, depending on the evolution of the situation. If the situation deteriorates, the sanctions will become harsher. At Brussels today, the Ukraine-NATO Commission is meeting. Ms. Halliburton is taking place. The agenda is all dedicated to the situation that Ukraine has found itself in after the developments in Russia. The NATO Secretary General is initiating an extraordinary online conference. In summary, we have succeeded in consolidating a powerful international coalition in defense of Ukraine. All these steps and positions of ours we coordinate online, by phone, 24/7. So the burden on the Ukrainian diplomatic system is fairly high. The Minister of Foreign Affairs is currently in the United States. Immediately after his participation in Brussels, he left for Washington, D.C., and his meeting with Antony Blinken is now going. He will also meet leadership of Pentagon, Ms. Samantha Power, and a number of other meetings apart from the security agenda and the specific assistance that U.S. has already offered Ukraine. They will discuss other sanctions to follow the ones imposed by U.S. President Biden yesterday. Our position is clear, and we have articulated on more than one occasion, and it is to impose painful sanctions right away. We do welcome the Germans' decision to suspend certification of Nord Stream 2. Minister Kuleba called this a proper step, both moral and practically. In the circumstances, genuine leadership means the ability to make difficult decisions in difficult times. It's an open secret. We've been looking forward to that decision for quite a long time, and we're happy that it has been made. We also welcome the decision of our British partners to impose the first package of sanctions on in particular 5 Russian banks are subject to these sanctions. A number of other nations are working on other economic sanctions, including Canada. All of us should be aware of the fact that further steps of the Russian Federation will inter alia depend on our joint steps that we are now trying to consolidate, and we are therefore expecting that our partners will take these steps. The President, we noticed, looking at the Minister of Foreign Affairs' request to terminate diplomatic relations with Russia. This is his decision under the Constitution of Ukraine. He is ultimately responsible for international relations, and in its turn, the National Security and Defense Council, which is currently working 24/7, Minister of Foreign Affairs is a member of the Council ex officio, is working on a number of decisions, including those relating to our domain, to be taking both domestically and international. You will learn about them in due time after they've been taken. In summary, let me say that our goal is peace in Ukraine, but in light of Article 51 of the UN Charter, Ukraine reserves the right to individual and a collective defense. The appeals made by the cabinet of ministers, the parliament, and the president are similar. Typically, wars are taken as something conventional, but today's war is a hybrid one. Amongst other things, it aims at sowing panic, fear. Therefore, we have to keep calm, because otherwise, to implement all the tasks that our diplomacy has upon it would be more difficult. A couple of words on international response. Immediately after the decision of the Russia's Security Council and the Russian Duma, dozens of nations at different levels, presidents levels, chancellors levels, MFA levels, condemned the decisions. I will not list all of them. 46 nations and 5 international organizations such as NATO, OSCE, EU, Josep Borrell, Ursula von der Leyen, and a number of European MEPs are unanimous in characterizing the steps of Russia as a violation of international law and sovereignty of Ukraine. All stakeholders have made their stance known, and we are now collecting information and feedback from all possible sources. To conclude, let me say that in the past 2 months, given that one of the tactical tasks imposed upon us by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is to stay in touch with in network diplomacy. So we counted over 60 different visits, 40 to Ukraine, presidents, heads of parliamentary delegations, ministers of foreign affairs, 12 heads of international organizations, 6. You heard here that the president of Estonia is currently in Ukraine, Slovenia, Latvia are coming to Ukraine. 3 ministers of foreign affairs are coming to Ukraine in the following days. With this, I conclude. We have, however, time for a couple of questions for you to ask. Я хотів би вас запитати, чи мертвий мінський формат, на вашу думку, і який новий формат ви передбачаєте дипломатичний на майбутнє? Чи буде це новий формат, що спирається на Будапештський меморандум, ну, щось на кшталт Будапештського меморандуму, але Китай, для прикладу, Будапештського меморандуму не підписувала, проте зробила спеціальну заяву щодо гарантії безпеки України. Тож питання моє таке, як ви б оцінили позицію Китаю в цьому процесі, і чи плануєте ви запросити Китай до перемовин у цьому новому форматі? Як ви оцінюєте позицію Китаю? I was asked to respond in Ukrainian because simultaneous translation is available. Indeed, as I said in my opening remarks, by its actions, the Russian Federation has well put an end to the Minsk format, its principles, its tasks, and our partners concur with us. And as much as the Minsk format was the so-called in the blind alley for significant time, we have been looking for additional formats, for additional alliances at which we could discuss a number of important issues, including exchange of the prisoners and provision of humanitarian aid. Of course, Ukrainian control over the territories were of prime importance, and so now we're looking for a new format, one of which is the so-called Budapest Memorandum format that we would like to resort to in reference to the Budapest Memorandum's provisions relating to the Russian Federation. And another format is that summit I mentioned, UN permanent members plus Germany, Turkey, and Ukraine. This might be yet another format where security issues could be discussed. China, we expect on China's support and understanding of the challenges that we are facing, and the work in this direction is going on. I will conclude by quoting our president. These times, support is what we need. We can't determine the form and substance of that support. It is to be decided by the sovereign nations, but support may be both public, political, defense, like condemnation, defense. Well, we understand that defense-capable Ukraine will enhance the security of Europe and the region as a whole. Therefore, we are looking at the number of defense complexes Ukraine might need in case Russia continues its aggression. A scenario which is likely. We have been all able to see the escalation going on, plus financial support, and this is something that we may want to additionally highlight. I did had a talking point dedicated to that. Yeah, financial support is part of practical response. Again, every nation will select the best format for that. Separately on assistance, the total of it provided to help Ukraine manage economic instability and defense needs is currently 1.4 billion US dollars. 2,000 tons of material were provided, but US, Canada, Latvia, Poland, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, Japan, Albania, Bulgaria, and Turkey. Also, the European Union assigned already 31 million to enhance cybersecurity and stability of digitalization. A 25 million euro budget was approved. The EU Council, well, yesterday approved the proposal of the European Commission to provide additional extraordinary 1.2 billion euro. Any further inquiries? Well, have a good evening and till we meet again.